wanted to catch up on things going on in the world. And as everyone knows, things here in America are quite crazy. So yeah, it's really fun being here right now. Um, and what can you say about that except for wow? Who would have thunk this would have happened? Well, back in 2016, I did know that Trump was at least strongly like, uh, the German guy from the 1940s that rhymes with Flitler. I did know that, and I got yelled at when I said that, but it's true. And anyway, I just wanted to come on and do a quick live because I do have to work all day and all weekend. But just catch up on things. And yeah, it's been heavy. I've had my moments like everybody else. And look at how the whole world is now being warned to not come here. And I just wanted to share some stories about that and my own personal experience. And, um, the courts are holding firm. One thing that he can't change, Trump and others, Miller, Leland and others can fire top military generals, etc., and try to invade buildings and change things and threaten us and all these things. But I mean, I really feel like they forgot that what country they're dealing with, and also a constitution, and that the military took an oath to the constitution. And the one thing the military knows is that if someone tells them not to follow the constitution, then that person must not be followed. So who would that be? Who is literally telling them not to follow the constitution? So I'm sure we have some people who are going to be loyal to Trump. And I'm saying this because, the threat of martial law. Now, here's the thing. Why is it that every other country when anyone has attempted to use martial law on the public, they get taken out of office, thrown in jail? Why is it that we are abiding by this? Well, it really makes me wonder about some of the Democrats in office that are playing games with the Republicans in office. And, you think about Chuck Schumer, and as I said, whether or not he made the right choice in saying yes to not having a government shutdown, the problem was he didn't tell us really why he did that, or what the risks were, what the pros and cons were. And it really felt like a silent thing that he did, an agreement that, whether or not it helped us now or in the long run, it felt like he did something secret and didn't tell us why he made that choice. So there's not disclosure. And, the moment that those, 7 Democrats censured Al Green after the State of the Union, and everybody's like, what? Democrats are telling him not, what the? Well, now you know why we didn't have audits and recounts of the election. And somebody was asking that last night, why didn't Kamala do recounts? And I replied, and I've gotten like hundreds of likes on this post. I said, well, I think look at the people that censured Al Green. Look at Chuck Schumer. These people probably told her not to do audits. And why? That's the question. Why? Are they playing games? Do they have money at risk? What is it? But there's something, and I'm still, I'm a Democrat, but hey, it's obviously something going on. Well, anyway, let's move on from that. Let's move on. We will find out one day. I really think that, is it Jasmine Crockett or AOC should be head of the Democratic Party. I really feel that would bring a huge change. And battery's going to get low here, so I better hurry. Okay, I want to talk about this whole thing with travel and people being afraid to come here because their phones will get searched. They might get thrown in a jail, might get sent off to some country and they're never found again. That's the whole thing. It's like kidnapping and it's human trafficking. Everything I say is for entertainment purpose only. But it's a risk to come here, and it's a risk to be here, and it's a risk to leave here. And I think that's the point. One of the biggest things was, and I got this from the very beginning, when Trump started talking about putting up a wall. It wasn't to keep people out as much as it was to keep us in. He's keeping us in. And that is a narcissistic thing. And if you look at Jim Jones, what did Jim Jones do? He didn't want anyone to leave. And when people tried to leave, he had his guys go out and shoot them. And then he had everybody get killed with him in a mass death thing. And so to a narcissist, one person rejecting them, leaving the gaslighting is like everything. One person really, it gets under their nails and it really bothers them. They can't stand it. And Trump is like the biggest narcissist on earth, basically. So Trump is keeping us in. And I feel like he's pissing off other countries to the point where they're saying, well, F you, America, so that they have no more empathy for us, no more desire to help us, those of us who are innocent in all of this. It's eroding other countries' compassion for us and willingness to fight for us should we need it, because Trump is mass turning us into this big ball of negative humanity. And that's just not true. But that's what he's doing. He's punishing other countries, but he's also really punishing us and isolating us from the rest of the world. That's what he's doing. So they were saying how when people have left the country, try to come back, whether they're natural citizens and they have birth certificates, passports, or they're a foreigner coming here, like a Canadian, they're saying that their phones are being searched, and when they are found to have had anything on their phone that is against Trump, they're called terrorists, and they can be put in a jail. So, what is this? Door prizes, raffles, blah, 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 blah. I'm getting a text message. So I want to talk about that. So somebody said, well, what do we do? What do we do? And I said, well, I've been through this. What I did was I got a burner phone. And this was when I was in my bad situation in my life. And for years, because this person was tracking me and following me, they had a thing that it was like a remote viewing on my phone, which is very common. People do it more than you know. They can view your texts, your emails, they can hear your phone calls, take screenshots, get your photos. They can get your photos. So they know every time you take a photo. They can know your location. They know everything. And they can act like they don't know it, but they know it. So I had to get a burner phone and have a password set up for only me. I had to get two-party authentication, or whatever you call it, verification, where you, let's say you sign into your email and you get a text and you have to get a code to get into your own email, and that's on everything. This person was in on all my social media. They had a thing that took screenshots. I would be scrolling through my social media and it would take screenshots, and I knew it was going back to them. And so I got a burner phone, and doing that, it would last for a while until they found out how to get into that. But the point being, people traveling to America, to and from, it would be smart to get a burner phone and not bring your normal phone. Now, the downside is, yeah, you don't have all your regular contacts. But here's the thing. You could put those in. You can put phone numbers of close contacts. You can have YouTube and not sign in, or have a different account, or just don't have your normal stuff on there. Password, because you're not legally bound to give your password, and don't have any of your social media on there that would have comments and things that are against Trump, because clearly that bothers him. The other thing that's bothering him is the whole Tesla thing, and that's because it's a money thing. That was one of their whole plans for entertainment purposes only, connected to Doge, was to have, it's a money thing. Now, other countries are doing it. It's not just America. Other countries are rejecting Starlink. They're rejecting Tesla. And first and foremost, I don't agree with vandalizing property. I would never do that. I don't condone it. But let me say this. So I would never do it, but let me say this. When you don't listen to people and you create human rights violations, crimes against humanity. You take away the voice of people, you're violating their freedom, their constitutional rights, and basically doing horrible things. When you're doing horrible things, but you won't let people talk, guess what their next course of action is to physically talk. And I feel like that's what's happening with Tesla. Again, I don't agree with damaging property. I would never do it. I don't agree with it. However, I understand it. I understand it because that's the next version of being able to talk to someone when they won't talk to you and they're violating your rights. So that's what people are doing. And it's, they apparently Leland was in the Oval Office crying on the floor, and now magically he has money to dig himself out of his rut with the stocks and everything. And there's all sorts of Martha Stewart-ish things going on. And, I've always felt that in fact, I said it before the election and before the inauguration, I said they're going to take everyone's 401ks and their Medicare, Medicaid, and their Social Security. It's a source of income for Leland and Frump. And yeah, just want to say that. What else do I have to say? Just feeling trapped here. And what's the other thing? I can't think of anything else to say. I just wanted to come on and talk about that. Oh, well, just this feeling of being in this country and, the whole thing where, okay, now 45 is saying he did not sign this immigration thing where you take away people's birth citizenship and you can ship them into concentration camps. And basically they made it sound like anybody who was against him could be rounded up. Well, the interesting thing about that is then you get to see how many people voted for Kamala, because if you got everybody that was against him, everybody that technically voted against him, that's a whole bunch of people, and we'd really see how many voters there were. But it's just, it triggers all those feelings of me and all of us, because we've all been through things in our life. For me personally, in my childhood, with my father not being able to move, talk, dance, be seen or heard, getting beaten, watching my mother's tooth get knocked out. He would hang us upside down, yell at us for touching his Bible, yell the Bible at us, couldn't move. It got to the point where it was so bad where I couldn't go to the bathroom anymore because I lost the sensation of needing to go to the bathroom because I was so afraid to move in my house that I couldn't go to the bathroom. And telling people not to come to America because it's not safe. That reminds me of how my friends would come to the door and I would say, "Go away, my father might hurt you." And that I went through that. And it's really triggers me. And then other situations in my life that I just spoke about earlier with the phone and such, I really kind of have talked to the universe and said, I don't want anyone to go through this, but why am I having to go through this again in my life? Could I not have just spent the rest of my life in peace after all of that? Could I have not just gone through the last part of my life, whatever I have left, because who knows, without having to be afraid? And well, the truth is, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid. It's just sucks, basically. And a large part of me is like, how long is this going to go on? How long? Because if we're all now in America and other people can't even come here, we can't leave, they can't come here, we're afraid. Aren't we already at the stage of 1944 Germany and people are in concentration camps? I mean, how much longer does this have to go on before it stopped? And anyway, I guess I'll stop with that. I don't have anything else to say. I do believe the laws are in place. Judges are getting mad. I do believe that there's a lot of truths that are going to come out. I do believe that, something I said last night online was that at the end of the day, I really truly believe that no matter what Trump and his people do, to us that love is stronger than that and that we will actually bond together. And when you read old newspapers and watch old newsreels, it's really, even though it is bad now, we are in a really, it's a spiritual battle. It really is. Um, Things are bad, but humanity has cycled through these things, war and conflict and fascism. And guess what? Guess what always got us out of it? Not just war, not just, you know, allies and conflict and all that, nuclear bombs or atomic bombs. What got us through it was music and the revolution of peace and people coming together, trusting that love is stronger than that. And it is. Love is stronger because at the end of the day, you could bomb the world, and within maybe a year, a flower will grow out of some piece of land and the sun will come out again. So no matter how bad it is, there is hope. There's always hope. But it does feel bad right now. It feels, like I said, I didn't really want to go through this again. I just wanted to sit and look at the flowers and watch the birds and write and be relatively happy in my life. So let's hope that it ends and we don't all have to go through this and all that good stuff. Thanks for listening. I ramble a lot, but love you guys. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.